So yeah, you could be a spelling expert. You'd be there. You'd go every time you invite different friends over and you'd say, hey, let's have a spelling bee in. And you'd become an expert, but then you'd have no friends at the end of the year because they'd be, oh, every time I go to West, he wants to do a spelling bee. What's with that guy? Right?
At the end, he
Right?
always wins.
Yeah, no doubt. He's an expert at spelling.
Land ahoy, mateys!
The archipelago awaits.
Today, I think it would be cool to like link in a couple different things that we've been talking about.
True.
So last time when we were talking about comfort zones, you had a quote inside of there where you said the lost art of having fun.
Yes.
Right. I thought that was really, really interesting, right? Because we were talking about we don't let ourselves get outside our comfort zones, and it's like we hold ourselves back. And it's like we forget how to have fun. And then we also talked about energy, like the energy that you put out is like what attracts what's around you, and it's contagious, right? So if you're really happy and excited, like you're going to lift up people's energy around you.
Yeah, for sure.
So the new concept that I want to tie into this is I was listening to a podcast this weekend, and the guy was talking about how he was a procrastinator. Okay. And the coach that basically was kind of coaching him through this, and it was really cool. He was coaching him through his mindset on procrastinating. And then he was pausing the video and then talking about like what he's kind of doing inside of the conversation. So the guy right off the hop says like, I don't finish things I want to on time. And then he just pauses it right there. And he's like, okay. He's like, this is the story he tells himself, right? I don't finish things on time. I'm a procrastinator. So then he stops and he goes, okay, well, do you finish things on time? And he's like, oh yeah. He was like, okay, well, what percentage of things do you finish on time? It's like probably 75% of things. So he's like, okay, well, so you're not a procrastinator. You just procrastinate at some things. So then it's like, well, what do you procrastinate at? And then he just kind of like deconstructs like the idea of him being a procrastinator. But the bigger theme of it is the stories we tell ourselves. And I thought that was really interesting. So I thought we could dissect that, because I do think that flows into the lost art of having fun, because it's the story that we tell ourselves.
Yeah. And you could see in that example that once you tell that story to yourself, then you almost have to live it. And pretty soon, whether he was a procrastinator, he almost is obligated to become one, because that's the story, right? But yeah, there's no question that it drives a lot of what we're doing, the way our mindset, the way we think about things, and what we tell ourselves. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I have there's a couple stories that come to my mind where I told these stories and they were kind of a part of my identity. And then it's weird. It's like there's two moments that I just kind of reflect back on, and I'm like, well, why am I saying that? So the first one is I used to tell myself I'm not a creative person. So I remember when I was first learning web development and colors, I was sitting there looking at a textbook thinking like, I'm not artsy. Like I worked on a gravel pit and I changed tires and I played hockey. I'm like, I'm not creative, you know? But then it was the farther I got into it, and it's ironic, right? So that was probably about 6 years ago. That was after I graduated high school. That was probably second, third year university, right? And I was telling myself I wasn't creative, but if I look at myself today, it's like that's actually, I think, is a strength of mine. I think it's being creative is actually a strength of mine, but it was a story that I was just telling myself that actually blocked myself from being able to be creative.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so when you, at that moment, I would be curious, like when we say we're not creative, is like, do we look at our background and say like, it doesn't seem like what I do today, like your gravel pit and everything you're doing, well, I can't be creative because I did, or is it, I don't have the steps that a normal person. So what's normal?
Yeah, because I think we look at the end result, right? If I look at a painting, right, you're like, you sit there and you go, I can't do that. I'm not creative. But if you picked up the paintbrush and you got the canvas and you drew a stick man, okay, and then you drew a stick man with hair, and then you just keep improving and iterating on it, then at the end, it's like you have that painting on the wall and they're like, holy smokes, you paint that? Oh, I can't do that. I'm not creative.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you know what? I wasn't creative in the sense of the word either, but the story that I tell myself is that I'm like, I can learn it, I can do it. So if I pick it up and I want to apply myself to it, then I'll
Yeah.
be able to do it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when you look at that painting, like the one thing, it's that comparison, right? Thief of all joy. We're looking at the Mona Lisa, and we say we can't do it. Well, of course. Well, there are those exceptional people that have, 400 years ago, and it stood the test of time. So we always look at that and say, obviously we're not maybe creative to that point, but I think we're super creative in the worlds we live. But I think that comparison in our minds is, oh, if I can't do that, then I must not be creative. When in fact, I think you can be very creative, but don't have to necessarily have that exact end product, right? And I think the other thing is those experiences that you have obviously would drive us, all of us. So inside of that, I think all those experiences give us some creativity, right? And it might just look not necessarily like a finished, Van Gogh picture, but in the things we create. So
Yeah, and I think it's the cookie jar concept too. It's okay, well, I don't have confidence doing something. If I can get a small win, right? That's a cookie. I can put it in my cookie jar.
Yeah.
And then I just start stacking up these small wins, and then I can open up the cookie jar and I can see all of these wins inside of there. Well, that's going to give me the confidence to be able to take the next step on it.
100%. Yep.
Targeted questions makes you think differently. So even just going into a conversation or going into like your work day, and you ask yourself, how can I have fun? If you ask yourself, what's the story that I'm telling myself? It's okay, I got to get X, Y, Z out the door by 10 a.m. And then I'm heading over to Johnny's for lunch. And then after that, it's like these stories that we already have pre-populated in our head where we're already playing out our whole days. And then we go into that and we live it, but we already told ourselves the story that we're going to have stress.
Yep.
Like we pre-populated these stories, so then we're projecting it during our day, and then that's what we live. Where if you can just change it and you say, okay, well, how do I actually have fun with this, right? Because that ties into the energy concept, where it's like, if you go into something and the story is now not going through the day at work, but it's like, how can I have as much fun as I can at work? Like that targeted question just changes your whole approach. And then you can ask more radical questions on like, okay, well, if this is the setting around me, what happens if I punched a hole in the wall and started rebuilding it, right? It's like you have control over these things, and you can control the story that you're telling yourself.
Yeah, those walls, I'm sure at times seem like they confine us. And the problem with that is then that's it. Then when you remove the wall, it's almost like you're still living that space, if that makes sense. Like I can imagine if somebody was in jail for 30 years, you see shows where they get out of jail and they're in this beautiful house or beautiful room, and then they sleep on the floor. Like it's just that they can't sort of absorb the excess space and the stuff there because they've been conditioned. So, the having fun one, I used to do a lot of theme parties at the house over the years. And so I remember for my 40th birthday, it said, go back in time. Where were you, 40 years ago? So I dressed up like because I was a baby 40 years ago at that time, because it was my 40th birthday. So I dressed up in a onesie, a big jumper, like a little baby, but I was, I'm 6'3" or whatever. So it looked quite funny, but that for anybody that came, and there was 40 or 50 people that came, I would sort of transform the house into 40 years ago, and had like old Coke machines and hula hoops and all these different things that would be sort of correlated to the time frame. But the request was that for anybody that came had to dress up. But I remember there was a couple that came that didn't dress up, and they were two lawyers. And so they were rather stiff, and I was watching them in the setting, because there was variety of careers and variety that people would let loose and just have some fun. But they were very, very contained in their approach. They couldn't, dress up, first of all. Then even when they're there, they couldn't relax, because what would people think if I dressed up, because I'm a lawyer, like whatever that means specifically. But it's very interesting how we put those confinements, those walls, those things, and we compress those walls in. And then when the walls aren't there, we're still in that compressed area. So to your point, like punching holes in the wall, you're just trying to expand and say, let's go where we want, because we're not confined. But in a lot of cases, we are confined.
I really like that analogy, because it's like the stories you tell yourself. The walls are either visible or they're invisible. Because at the time when I was telling myself I wasn't creative, and before that, I didn't even know that wall existed. like I was running up against it, but I wasn't self-conscious of that wall existing. So it's like the prison analogy. It's like I confine myself by these stories that I tell myself. And if I'm able to see those walls, then you have a better idea of being able to break through them. Because the other story I told myself, and this was up until like last year, is that I wasn't a good speaker, right? Because we have an episode on public speaking, and we've talked about some of this in the past, but that was the story that I told myself. And then I realized, because I already had the creative story kind of identification. So then I just kind of was like, well, what if I just tell myself I'm a good speaker? Right. And what if I just change the story and I just live that? Right. So now I tell myself I'm a good speaker. And even last week, I had a meeting with another business owner, and she said that once I get people in the room, that I'm a natural, that I'm a good speaker. You know, and it's like, ironically, I always told myself that I wasn't a good speaker, but then now I'm starting to hear it from people around me that I'm a good speaker. And I'm like, the stories, they do confine you.
100%.
And you either know them, you either know those walls are there, or you don't know those walls are there.
Whether you think you can or where you think you can't, you're right. Versus saying, I'm not sure if I am good or not bad, but I'll do it. Or, you know what, to your point, I'm good at this. When, you know, and what, you know, the good is always that comparison thing, because what is good, bad, right? Like when you sit there and you say to you, whether you're drawing or painting, whether you're in speech or any of these things, there's always going to be somebody better at it, and there's going to be a whole bunch worse at it. But it's really more to do with, are you okay just giving it a go and saying, right? And just taking that step and trying it. But those walls, they're real. Like they confine us in everything, absolutely, the way we think.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And absolutely. Yeah. That's a good point. It's like, well, what does a good speaker mean to me? Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just being able to get up in front of someone and be able to communicate.
Yeah.
And not feel like, say, that nervous, but rewriting that as excitement.
Yeah.
And which is crazy, because that actually happened to me for the first time a couple of weeks ago, was that I've been putting myself in these uncomfortable situations, and I was going to cold call. So my heart was nervous, like I'm talking to someone, they don't know I'm calling them, blah, blah, blah. The story, right? All those confined walls, those stories. And then I sat there before I made the call, and I could feel my heart, thump, 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 thump. But it was like, it was different this time. It wasn't like a nervous shortness of breath. It was, okay, now I'm actually getting used to this feeling. So let's make the call and have the conversation. And then let's frame it as, okay, you're an explorer and you're just calling someone to see if they identify with what you're talking about or not. And you're just like, you're learning and you're getting research. And then you can adapt your approach instead of having the preconceived notion of, okay, I got to make a sale, right? And because that's the comparison of what you, like, eventually you want to get there, but it's like, are you taking that right mindset, even just the story going into that call? Is it setting you up for success?
Let me ask you a question. When you were just about to do that, what was the self-talk? Because this is an interesting one that I see sometimes. Normally what happens is, let's say I'm sitting here, I can't see what you're thinking. But sometimes I've been in instances where I hear people think, they actually say it. So I'm more curious when you're sitting there, what first of all is the self-talk? Like, is it, oh boy, this is going to be scary? Or is this, you can do this? Or how do you, like, you know?
Yeah, for me, what it is I sit there for a period of time and I overthink what my intro is going to be. So I sit there and I'm like crafting the intro to the message. So it's not necessarily I can't do it or this is scary. It's like, okay, well, what do I want to say? What's the intro into the message? Because I like, for myself, I find if I can plan out those first 10 seconds, 15 seconds, after that, like I can feel the response and I can go off of it. But I need to buy myself kind of like that first 10, 15 seconds to be able to kind of have the confidence to make the call. And then I get to the point where I'm saying the intro over and over and over again in my head. And then I'm just like, you have to press the button. And then you press the button and then in your head, you're like, oh shit, we're live. And then you just sit there and you're just like, and then the phone's ringing and then you're just waiting there to see if they pick up or not.
You just go click, hang up. But it's interesting that self-talk so around that story again. Didn't really dawn on me, but I was out with another person that was in the financial field, and we were golfing, right? And golf is always an interesting game because people really struggle with it. I don't mean like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a good golfer, but I don't struggle with the game. I just accept it for what it is and accept me and my skill set for what it is. So for me, I find that it's probably one of the least pressured places for me, yet I see the pressure of other people. But this guy was a good golfer. Like he was a scratch type golfer. So, and anyways, he's in the middle of the fairway always. Not so the one time I was in the middle of the fairway with him, then he proceeded to hit and he missed the green. It was like, let's say we're 140 yards out and he misses the green. Then he started verbally outside, "You idiot." Kind of shot, a stupid shot as that. And it caught me so off guard. I was staring at him because I'm like, you're a scratch golfer. Like, so you missed what's like, for my golf game, I'd take those shots all day long. But it was almost like he was berating himself. And I couldn't believe that self-talk. It almost shocked me. Like who says that to themselves? Like, I don't say that to myself. Like, I don't, like, one of the things I really pride myself on is I don't beat myself up on stuff. I'm just like, like if you missed a shot, well, what would you expect? You don't golf ever. Like, that's probably it. Just enjoy the day. It's a nice day for a walk, fellowship, whatever the case may be. But people really, inside their head, they're at war sometimes with themselves, and the language and the stuff they say to themselves is shocking and appalling. It's like there's no room to wiggle in there because you're under the gun from yourself. And I'm like, wow, like,
Yeah, honestly, probably 4 people like in my head just pop out. And it's sports too. I think they bring out that competition where it's like you're telling yourself like, I'm a great golfer, and then you make a bad shot, and then you flip to the way opposite side of that and you tell yourself you're an idiot. And I think probably a lot of people have seen people surround them that have that out loud negative self-talk. And I'm the same way. Like, I'm really surprised. I mean, it's almost hard for me not to say anything. It's like, you shouldn't tell yourself that story.
Well, it's hard enough to travel in this life as it is, that I don't need an enemy that I created against myself. So when I hear it, it shocks me almost. Like, it is foreign. I've always sort of said to myself, it's hard enough for you to travel through this life. Don't pile it onto yourself. Just do the best you can. And that's good. That is good. That's, every step we take. And so, like, to your creative thing, if I draw a stick man, a lot of people would go, well, that sucked, but I don't know, I'm there drawing it. There's a lot of people, don't have the canvas, can't do it. There's a million. So I just take it for what it is. I have no expectation that I'm, the top painter of ever to come out, sort of thing. So I just saw, this is a great experience. Just there it is, right? But I'm just curious how many people, as part of their story, there's the story we tell, which then we have to sort of adhere to. But then there's this I'm at war inside. We create for ourselves. But then, to your point, we're not in the prison by ourselves. We're in with my bunkmate in the prison. Is like, the
bunkmate is just that other version of you.
Yeah.
That is just there beating you down.
Beating you down. And you can't get out.
Yeah.
Tough to move down the road.
So this is the experiment that I'm going to run these next couple of weeks, is that I want to have more fun with it, because I can even feel like the change in my body from when I start a call for the first 10 to 15 seconds. Again, this could be the story that I'm telling myself, but then after that 10 to 15 seconds, like, I can actually feel like my body relax a little more.
You're yourself.
Yeah. And then I'm like making jokes, and I'm like the one guy, I sent him an email 2 weeks ago, and he said he had a man cold. So I was waiting for him to get back to me. He never got back to me. So I called him and I was like, hey, Johnny, just making sure that cold didn't wipe you out.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like, when I started the conversation more like naturally with my sense of humor, it went way, like, I was comfortable the whole entire time.
Yeah.
But when I'm calling someone and I'm saying, hey, this is Wes from Stratus Advanced Technologies, I'm trying to collect information about, it's like, you're just so rigid, you're stiff, you're not having fun.
Yeah.
It's like, so the experiment that I want to run is just, and that's the concept of the lost art of having fun. It's like, how can I have more fun inside of these conversations? What's fun to me? Well, humor's fun for me. It's like, I've always made jokes and I like these things. So it's like, how can I bring that strength out of myself tie it into these conversations, have fun with inside of it. Because if I'm having fun, then odds are the other person on the phone's going to have fun, because that's the energy concept we talked about.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to like going into those calls, like I'm going to look forward to those.
Yeah.
Because then it's an opportunity, like you said, to build relationships
100%.
and to have fun talking to people and use my sense of humor.
Yeah, and your sense of humor is natural to you. So again, that journey is to be yourself, that idea of easier said than done. But I remember I went on a sales call one time. Somebody had given me a referral, and we'd go to their places, and I was running late. It was actually late at night. I was supposed to be there at 9 at night for an appointment, and it was about 9:15. So I called this person. It was a referral. So I said, I'm running in 15 minutes. Oh, no problem. And so the guy had described, it'll be a sort of a mid-30s single lady. So this, like, I have no visual of like, but I get to and it's supposed to be this apartment. And so I knock on the door. Well, 2 doors open right across the hall from each other. And they both would have fit that description. And then I go, Susie, oh, hey, Susie, and come in. So now I'm late, I'm running late. So I sit down with Susie, and then I don't, this is no self-awareness to begin with. So I start doing my presentation, and I've got the presentation to end all presentations. And for 20 minutes, my hands are going, I've got this wonderful presentation. I'm going on, and I'm not letting her come in here because I've got to show this incredible presentation. And at the end of the 20 minutes, no bullshit, she goes to me, so what? So what? and I stared, and I actually just shut everything down. Said, this is imagine in the middle of it. She said, so what? I said, I'm done. And I shut everything, and I said, see, and I left. And I got home, and I said, never in my life will I ever present that. And what was wrong with the presentation, besides the fact that didn't even understand who she was, get to know her, forgetting all that, it just wasn't me. It was so far from me. It was this stiff thing that was, and I said, you know what, whether this career is right for me or wrong, I'm never presenting, I want to present authentic. So I'm going to say, so really what I did is I threw the entire presentation away, and I took one piece of paper, and that was it. And I did it, and it wasn't fancy. I'm talking a plain white piece of paper in big bold thing. It had 3 points, and it said, I believe that you'll be better off knowing me than not knowing me economically for your family. I'm trustworthy and accountable, and I can't remember the third point, but I had 3 really simple ones, and that was it. And that was my presentation. When I sat there and I said, thanks for meeting me, Wes. There's only 3 reasons I'm sitting here, and this is it. And if any of them interest you, then if it connects to you, then let's talk and move forward. But if not, that's okay. We met. And it was so, I said, you know what, then I don't care if all of a sudden nothing, I got all no's for the rest of my life, then I would know that at least I'm authentic and I could do it. Because I was so not, and to your point is this canned, stiff present thing that you're called, that's not you. You're fun, you like to joke around. So then you got to be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because after those cold calls, I was like, well, what am I actually looking for? I'm actually looking for more of a business partner who's going to be forward thinking, that wants to adopt AI and actually wants to implement it into their business. So I'm like, well, that's what I should just say. Like, that's what I'm looking for. It's like
a simple piece of paper.
Exactly.
That's all. And it might be you and it might not be you, right?
Yeah. And then like internally, I just felt more relaxed.
Yeah. 100%.
And then it's like, well, yeah, that's actually what I should say. And that's what I should do. Because if I find that, then it's going to be so easy.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
If I find that partner, from there, it's just going to be like, we're like, both of our lives will be improved tremendously, but it's just a matter. And then the cold call is the way of just trying to search for that person.
100%. And so then you're not invested in, if they say no, it's not like a damning condemnation of you or anything. It's just no. Or, so to me, if you present as simple as, and they either connect or they don't, and if they don't, that's okay. Then I think it's easier for people, right? Because you have to sift through all that other bullshit. Like whether it's on a call or when you meet somebody, there's all this other stuff. Instead of just sifting away and saying, this is who I am, this is where I'm at in this world, this is what I'm trying to connect to. Is right? So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I had a fun experience this last weekend actually about having fun in the stories we tell ourselves. So my buddy Ryan came down from Red Deer, and me and Savannah were brainstorming. Okay, like what are some things that we should do when Ryan's here? And the one thing that Savannah said is she was like, "Well, we could do a spelling bee." And my initial reaction was like, "What? A spelling bee?" Like,
it's unusual, yeah.
yeah. So then, and it's so back to the stories we tell ourselves. When I was in grade 6, my spelling teacher, the English teacher, told me spelling wasn't my forte.
Oh, it's
yeah. Okay. So I've never, again, been a good speller, the story. And Savannah also sees herself not as a good speller. So a spelling bee is quite out there for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I'm telling Ryan, and I'm like, well, what do you think about doing a spelling bee? And he like looks at me weird. He's like, a spelling bee? Like, what? That's like, so then I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Like Savannah had the idea. Let's do it. Let's make it fun. Right? It's the story.
Yeah.
So then what I did is I used ChatGPT and I said, hey, ChatGPT, create me a spelling bee. There's 3 characters, Ryan, Savannah, and myself, Wes, starting grade 1. And we're going to tell you if we get there, if we spell it right or if we spell it wrong. So then we started in grade 1, okay? And Savannah's all nervous. And I said, Savannah, you're up first. So you can tell she's nervous, okay? And it's funny because when it got to my turn, I was nervous too. Yeah. I was like, Savannah, spell book. And then you could see like
just
the relief on her face
fell off,
afterwards. B-O-O-K, book. Yeah. And then but what we did afterwards, we all celebrated like crazy. We're like, yes, high-fiving each other, right? Making it more fun than it should be. Yeah. But that's actually what contributed to the fun, right? Yeah. Celebrating that little grade 1 win, like made the experience more worth it. Yeah. So then we keep going around and we keep spelling, and then it's grade 5, and Savannah gets the word wrong. So we're like, okay, you know what? Making up the rules on the fly. You can call a friend. It's like if you call a friend, you have a minute. You have to tell them you're on a game show, and you need them to spell a word. And if they spell it right, you're back in the game. Oh wow!
So almost like a blend of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Exactly. Yeah. So then she calls her friend Kelsey. We go, Kelsey, this is a little out of the blue, but we're on a game show, and we need you to spell a word for us. If you spell the word, Savannah's back in the game. Yep. Right? So then it's like, and then she's like, what? What do you, what? And then we're like, spell the word, whatever it was, mischievous or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, even just like that simple concept of a spelling bee, it was the story at the start we told ourselves, like, no, actually, the spelling bee is not fun. That's weird. But then just living it and then over like emphasizing the little things, like actually made it so much fun. We did this thing for an hour and a half. I got out in grade 6. I called my friend to spell responsibility. He spelled it wrong too. We're both out of the game, and then Ryan made it to grade 11, and then we called him a genius for the rest of the week.
Yeah, well, that sounds fun, eh?
Yeah. So that's what I think it is. It's like the stories, and it's allowing ourselves to have fun.
Yeah, and it's also, to your point, is that when they say that, in grade 5 or 6, they say you're no good at that. How much do we internalize that inside of it, right?
I lived my whole life, and I still have a piece of that in my mind today.
Yeah. I remember being when I was in college that I took a salesmanship course, and I failed it. And they said, never should you be in sales. So it was quite interesting, right? So it's always interesting how, like, a test is the criteria, where, right? It's as if that's exactly, and it dictates your entire life, right? Which, well, if we sit back, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? All those things, because to your point, any of these things you could just work on and pursue and overcome these things, if that makes sense, right? So,
as long as you're telling yourself that story.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the thing, right? And that's what's hard. And we've talked about that in the past, is like, we both tell ourselves that story. Yeah. So then when I'm sitting across from someone, I'm like, and I hear they can't do it, or it's hard for me to listen to that, because it's like, no, I've done it, right? Yeah. Like, if I wanted to be a good speller, I'm sure I could sit there, like, start back in grade 1, spell the words, and be able to get to a place where I'm actually like a really good speller. It's just time and effort towards it, right? Yeah. But it's the story that we see, or you hear other people tell, and you almost want to grab them, you want to shake them, and you want to say, no, you can do it. Yeah,
for sure. But again, it's that limiting belief, right? Self-limiting belief, right? So yeah, you could be a spelling expert. You'd be there. You'd go every time you invite different friends over and you'd say, hey, let's have a spelling bee in. And you'd become an expert, but then you'd have no friends at the end of the year because they'd be, oh, every time I go to West, he wants to do a spelling bee. What's with that guy? Right?
At the end, he always wins.
Yeah, no doubt. He's an expert at spelling. Yeah. So, but it's fun.
Yeah. So then we're going to have a spelling bee at lunch with our office. And we're going to go around. And you even said, even the one developer, he was like, I won my grade 7 spelling bee. I got a DVD player and I sold that thing for $100.
So you have a self-proclaimed expert in there,
exactly.
Right?
So we got the stories coming out. So we're going to
Yeah.
have to test it and see where we're at.
I think anytime we hit that roadblock, whether somebody says it or we say it to ourselves, the story, it's to me, like, you know, when I remember like at school doing tests, and I always watched people interact with that test and the pressure they put on themselves. And I always, just for myself, it really started to take this idea that I'm going to do a test, and whatever the mark comes back, the mark almost is irrelevant. If the mark came back at 100, that's pretty straightforward. But if the mark comes back at 40, that just tells me where I'm at, and I got 60 to go. That's it. So I'm not imprisoned by the result. I don't care if it's 40, I don't care if it's 20, I don't care if it's 90, I'm really indifferent to it. Just tell me what it is, and that tells me the steps I need to take. So pretty soon I was like, they go, aren't you worried about the test? No, I'm not worried about it all. Because at the end of the day, that just tells me where I am. If I'm here to learn, then I'm okay saying it's 20 or it's 40 or 60. If that's actually where I'm at, well, then I guess I have to take these steps to improve. So never was it an enemy, like not a gun to my head. It was an opportunity. But again, it's that idea of how you view the same thing. Two people look at the same thing, and one sees, the Chinese symbol, like they always say, for danger and opportunity, the same. And it's just how we view it, right? So,
and you can apply that theme to pretty much everything we talked about, right? Cold calling, like is the score the sale? If I get the sale, it's 100%.
Yeah.
Or is it that, okay, well, now I'm tuning my approach and now I'm just doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like inside of the business, it's like, okay, well, we took too long to deliver to a client.
Yeah.
That's a bad score in quotations.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, actually, it's like, what can we do to deliver to them? How can we make up to it? And how can we improve it the next time?
Exactly. It's an opportunity. Every sort of thing is an opportunity. So then if you view that, then you can see that you don't put yourself under the gun as much, because you're saying it's just an opportunity to learn to where you sit. I don't care if it's in golf or in sport. So that's why when I golf, there's no pressure, because I have no expectation of going to score, scratch. So, if I score my 100 to 105, that's it. And I don't care. So even if I hit a shot, it doesn't bother me, because a 105 golfer would hit a shot, right? Now, if I was Tiger Woods, I wouldn't hit it maybe, but that's not who I am. So the reality is, as soon as I did that, the game was more enjoyable. And what I found was most other people were having a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with my score, and the fact that I couldn't hit some shots, who cares? Like I'm not committing to this game. I'm just there, just in that moment, right? But
and I think the important thing to highlight too is like, you still take things seriously.
Oh, 100%.
You still want to win.
Oh yeah, no question.
You still want to get better.
100%.
Right? But you don't need that pressure.
No.
That like almost like a pressure cooker in itself to be able to get to that end result.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the approach that you can take, or the process you can take to get to that, outcome.
Yeah.
Like there's 1,000 different ways to get to the same spot, right?
Yeah, 100%,
like you could beat yourself up, and because you beat yourself up so much, you can't sleep. So then you're out in the rain practicing your pickleball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you could just, like, you enjoy playing pickleball, so you play pickleball more, and now you're just getting better at pickleball.
100%.
And then all of a sudden you're winning pickleball championships.
Yeah.
Right? There's like multiple ways, but it's like, just to highlight, you're still serious, you're still pushing towards something.
100%.
There's still good outcome at the end of the process, right?
Yeah, and I just prefer to do it where I don't beat myself up along the journey of it.
Yeah.
And hold myself to that. Because ultimately, some of the stuff we pursue, it really doesn't really, if you step back in it, and we look in that rocking chair, looking back at our lives, it really doesn't mean squat. Whether you're the best speller or the worst speller, or near, you've got grade 8 level, grade 2 level, it really doesn't matter, because you still have to function, right? So to me, I'd rather just say, to make it enjoyable versus, negative self-talk and pounding myself. But it starts for myself, is I have to start with, let's get real about where you're really at. And that's what a test result would give me, just like a golf score would give me. And then you decide if you want to pursue increasing it. So in other words, if I get a 65 on a test or 70, is that enough for me, or do I need 80? And if I need 80, well, then you're going to take those steps. And the same with golf. If I shoot 100 to 5 and I say, I want to shoot under 90 all the time, well, then I'm going to have to commit some time. That will be the trade-off, right? But it's about getting real versus somebody that scores 105 and pretends that they think they're an 80 golfer. Those ones are like, the delusion stuff is like,
You have to get your ego out of the way.
oh, 100%.
Because-
just accept where you're at, right?
Yeah, for me, like if I wanted to become a better speller, I would actually have to go back to grade 4 spelling concepts, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, just am I gonna let my ego get out of the way
Yeah.
so I can go back to grade 4? Or swimming too. I remember I dropped out in like lesson 2 of swimming. It's
Yeah.
like if I want to be a good swimmer,
Yeah.
I need to go back to lesson 2 and just
Yeah.
like learn how to kick my legs.
Right.
Right. But is my ego gonna let me sit at the
Mhm.
public pool, hold on to the
Yeah.
edge, and just kick my legs
Right.
there to try to
Mhm.
get better?
Yeah.
Because then you're putting yourself in that uncomfortable situation.
100%. Yeah. I remember when I never skied actually until I was in my 30s, actually. And son was going for the school skiing up in the West Castle, whatever, in the bus. And they said, do you want to come and chaperone and teach the kids to ski? Well, I never had skied before. So I couldn't very well do that. I said, I'll come along, but I'm not skilled enough to help the kids in that regard. So anyways, we get up there in the bus at the West Castle Hill, and all the kids pile out, and as fast as they could go, they're flying out of there. They're trying to get out of there. And I noticed that there's 6 kids standing there, and no parents are all gone. And I'm like, what's going on? What are these kids? They're just standing like, so obviously they haven't skied. I hadn't skied. And all of a sudden the ski guy comes over. He goes, hey, are you guys my class that I'm here to teach? And they're all looking, and I'm going, yeah. And he's looking, and he goes, well, one of the first things we do here is before we get skiing is you need, on the ski hill, you need a name, and so the little girl, you're the little ski bunny. And then, he goes down the name, he's giving them these names. Then he looks at me and he goes, big guy, you're big guy. And so then we go over and we go up like 10 feet up that little hill. And he goes, okay, the snow bunny, give me snow plow. And so you put your legs together like that. And then he gets to me, he goes, big guy, give me snow plow. But weird enough, I was doing it originally because I didn't want the kids to be alone. I didn't understand why everybody had taken off on them. But then I was like, I don't know how to do it. So I'm okay. I don't know, I can't be like, yeah, I don't need teaching. I know how to do it, like my ego. I'm like, I can be big guy going down snowplow because I don't know how to ski. So, and by the end of the skiing, because I had skated a lot and played hockey, I could stop like both ways. But even when I was first going down, then once that little lesson was over, I started going, and I was like, something doesn't seem right. My leg was hurting a bit. And so one of the mothers stopped and said, how are you doing there? And I said, she goes, you hadn't skied before? I said, no. I said, well, it's going okay. It's just, but my leg hurt. And she said, show me what you're doing. And so what I was doing is I wasn't shifting my weight on the thing. She goes, all you have to do is you just go like this. And I'm like, well, duh. And so then anyways, now I could, so then I go up and around, and she's down the hill, and I come and I spray her, and she's staring at me. She's going, well, how did you go from that? I said, well, I've played hockey and I can stop either way. And so, I go to there. But at the very start, like when you sit down and think about it, if I would have said, under no circumstances can I be with these kids, and I don't want to show them or that guy that I can't ski, even though I can't ski. He knows I can't ski. If he watches me, he knows I can't ski. But my ego won't. I'm saying, screw that. I want to learn this thing. So I did. I don't care what people think. Okay, I can be big guy with a little ski bunny or whatever. Like, you're right. So it's very funny.
Well, the other thing would be is you'd just be in the ski lodge.
Yeah.
Like that's the other spot you would be. You wouldn't even be on the hill. You wouldn't be big guy going snowplow. You would be big guy having hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, yeah.
Yeah,
I had a good day on the slopes out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
so-
But that's part of it, right? And that's the lost art of having fun.
Well, 100%.
It's like I don't care. I love that. I'll be big guy going snowplow, hanging out.
Yeah.
Like that's just let's have fun with it.
Yeah, I think people are always funny that way when they go, I don't want people to know I can't do it. And I'm like, no offense, they already know it. Like, what's the difference? They already know you can't. They know I can't ski. What's the big deal? Like, does it mean anything? Like, really, at the end of the day, if I can ski or not ski, does it really matter at this moment in time?
Yeah.
And we get so caught up in our confinement and, I don't want people thinking that They already know it. Like, I mean, like in
Yeah.
2 seconds they know it, right?
I'm picturing myself doing the freestyle down the swimming pool with the tsunami coming
Yeah.
onto my wake. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're right. They
Yeah.
know I can't.
They
do
know
it.
you can't swim. But I thought actually funny in swimming, I was really thinking about doing an adult swim lesson to go back,
Yeah.
because I never learned to swim. I took they had pre-beginner swimming, and so I went and I failed pre-beginners 3 times, and they had actually said to me, like, basically, you can't swim. So again, that idea of limiting. And they said, in order to pass, they said, we'll give you one opportunity to pass. You have to go on the high diving board. Visualize as a person that is afraid of heights and can't swim, and you have to jump off of it and get to the edge of the pool. So of course I go up there, I'm shaking. I still visualize. I know the thing. I can just see it like right now. Well, I'm not going to jump straight off. I'm going to jump and get closer to so I
to the
jump off
edge.
the side, and that's a long way up for me. And I had my arms straight out, and they smacked, and then I
Did you doggy paddle?
did whatever I could to some bad version of dog pound, got to the edge, and they go, woo, you passed pre-beginners, but don't ever swim again. But now from that, I go like swimming all over, and I go, on some of probably the places I shouldn't, and I used to swim down at the weir and all these things where you're not supposed to, but just sort of self-taught, because I wanted to do it. But if I'd done that then, I would guess I would never go in the water again, because they said you shouldn't be near the water. So I'm like, well, I want to be in the water, so I bet I'm going to have to figure it out. But I'd like to learn the technique so that I could be a better swimmer, if that makes sense. So that is one of my little things to get comfort is, and I could just visualize I'm going to be there, and there's going to be little Mary Bunny again, these little kids. Okay, hold your breath.
Swim.
Big guy, hold your thing, and I'm like, sounds good. I can do it. Everybody else, and all their parents will be there, and I'll be in the pool, like, right.
The swim cap
on, like, right. My shark shorts, shark shorts.
Yeah.
But to me, just do it's your life. Have some fun with it. Don't
Exactly.
tear those walls down. Right?
Tell yourself good stories
Yep.
and have fun.
Yep, right. Break down the walls.
Here, here.
Here, here.
Anchors up!
Time to set sail.